In the early 1900s, a young Vietnamese man is working in a London kitchen. He washes dishes, carries trays, and keeps his head down. To everyone around him, he's invisible, just another worker in a global empire. But decades later, that same man would defeat not one, but two major world powers, France and the United States. His name was Ho Chi Minh. He was born in 1890 in a Vietnam controlled by France. This wasn't just influence, it was full colonial rule. Vietnamese land, labour, and resources were controlled from Paris. Local resistance existed, but it was fragmented, suppressed, and constantly watched. Ho Chi Minh grew up in that world, and decided early on he had to leave it to understand how to change it. By the 1910s, he had reached Britain. In London, he worked low-level jobs, kitchen porter, baker's assistant. Some accounts place him at the Carlton Hotel. Here, he wasn't a revolutionary. He was observing, watching how empire functioned from the inside. Who held power, who benefited, and who didn't. After London, he moved to Paris. This is where everything changed. In the aftermath of World War I, ideas were shifting across Europe. Empires were weakening. Revolution was no longer unthinkable. Ho Chi Minh became politically active, writing about colonial injustice, organising Vietnamese expatriates. In 1920, he joined the newly formed French Communist Party. For him, communism wasn't just ideology, it was a tool, a framework for anti-colonial struggle, a way to unite workers, peasants, and national identity into a single force. Throughout the 1920s and 30s, Ho Chi Minh travelled extensively. He travelled to Soviet Union, China, Southeast Asia. He trained, organised, and built networks. By the early 1930s, he had laid the foundations for a Vietnamese independent movement. Then history gave him an opening. During World War II, Japan invaded and occupied Vietnam, but crucially, they allowed the French colonial administration to continue operating. Vietnam was now under dual control, French officials above, Japanese military power behind them. The result was chaos and suffering. Famine spread, millions died, but for Ho Chi Minh, this was the moment. In 1941, he formed the Viet Minh, a nationalist resistance movement aimed at independence. They fought the Japanese, they organised the population, and they built legitimacy. When World War II ended, Japan withdrew. A power vacuum opened. Ho Chi Minh moved fast, declaring Vietnamese independence in 1945. But France returned, determined to reclaim its colony. War followed. For nearly a decade, the Viet Minh fought the French, using guerrilla tactics, local support, and sheer endurance. In 1954, at the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, France was defeated, and empire collapsed. But independence didn't bring peace. Vietnam was divided, and soon the United States stepped in to stop the spread of communism. What followed was one of the most intense conflicts of the Cold War. But again, Ho Chi Minh's strategy remained the same. Not to win quickly, but to outlast. To make the cost unbearable. And over time, it worked. The United States withdrew. The man who once worked quietly in a London kitchen had defeated two global powers, not through one decisive battle, but through patience, strategy, and understanding of how power really works. From an invisible worker to the architect of independence, Ho Chi Minh reshaped history.